All right, we're all mic'd up. Okay, folks, we're actually going to make a video today while we are doing our live, because I have not uploaded any videos in quite some time, and not everybody watches the live videos on this bike, so you guys get to see how this process works, sort of, more or less, kind of, not really, but yeah. Just give me a minute. I'm getting set up now. I dig these lives. They're fun to do. The way I work things, the way I do stuff, that this kind of fits real well. And it reaches out to a lot more people, honestly, than my videos. Like, the algorithm really likes you doing lives. So I do them. Do I have my handheld piece for this down here? I probably don't. Nope, I don't. All right. Is what it is. So, what we're doing in the actual video making, you guys will watch this in just a couple minutes here. You've seen how I edit my stuff. I've done that already. We're just going to give a quick update on this bike and what we've done, what we are going to do. And we're going to film it with a GoPro. And you guys get to come along. We're basically going to give people a little test drive of what we do in the videos, because I know a lot of you guys will come and come into this because it pops up on your screen. So kind of work hand in hand. Somebody that's maybe researching a Suzuki Marauder, wants to learn more about how to work on it, etc., and didn't catch this live. And I'll admit, for a lot of people, myself included, the lives can be boring. So I've tried to go back through and watch and sort of critique, what I've done and what I've said and stuff. And honestly, it does get boring. I get it, man. So the live stuff helps me reach out, and that's great and all, but we're also going to do some other stuff. All right, so where we're at so far, if you're new to this, hey, Fortini already, what's up? So if you're new to this, if you're not, then you know what's going on if you've been watching this series. So far, the bike rode in here, wasn't running that because it's got 2-year-old gasoline, so it rode in here, but it had no front brakes. We have addressed that. We needed to replace a master cylinder. I did want to rebuild this master cylinder. It's a Nissan, and it matches the bike, but honestly, this chrome job that came in last week, that we installed last week, was literally $10 cheaper for a new master cylinder than a rebuild kit for this master cylinder. It's Chinesium, but dude, it works. It fits. The only thing that I had to do was the back clamp. Your mirrors are threaded differently, so you can't use this fitting here. So I had to take the back clamp from the old master cylinder to make that work. We did that. We pulled the caliper apart in last week's video series, because there was more than one. We pulled the caliper completely apart, pulled the pistons, cleaned everything, polished up the pistons so we can ensure they're going to work well, installed new brakes, bled the brake system. Front brakes are fixed. We diagnosed why the bike was giving us trouble starting. Very common thing. A lot of these bikes have a either neutral safety, so that the starter will not engage unless the neutral light's lit. This bike also has a clutch safety. So there's a switch underneath the clutch lever and connects to here, and it's basically an on-off switch. So if the clutch is not pulled in, the starter will not engage. I got some of these. I don't have anything that'll fit this particular plug. This is a feature I hate. I don't like it on motorcycles. It's just not my thing. If you don't know to ensure your bike is in neutral before you start it, or to pull in your clutch before you start it, you shouldn't get on a motorcycle. That's just a personal opinion. I don't like extra safety things that you don't need. I don't like ABS. I don't like rider control. I got a vintage Harley Davidson. I have a somewhat modern Harley Davidson. I've ridden a lot of vintage bikes, and I learned old school on bikes from the early 70s. That's how I learned to ride, and that's how I prefer everybody learn to ride. The hard way. Don't let the bike do your thinking for you. So what we're going to do today, after we shoot a little video footage real quick, we are going to just basically disable this system. This switch right here is nothing more than a contact switch. When the clutch lever is pulled in, there's a little tab on the bottom that pushes in. As a matter of fact, I will show you on this brake master cylinder. This is a clutch master cylinder, same difference. When the clutch is pulled in, okay, it makes contact in there. See what I'm saying? So what we're going to do, being as it's merely a contact switch, we already jumped it in the last video. We put a piece of wire in between it. The starter functioned properly. We're just going to snip that off. We're going to solder in a jumper wire and seal it off to the weather, and we're going to call that fixed. The gentleman who owns this motorcycle does not want to put a lot of money in it. He basically just wants it up and running and riding. His daughter is interested in learning to ride. It's a little bit of a big bike for her, but enough that she can grow into it. So that's what we're going to accomplish today, is fixing that little issue. As I said, I have this switch here, but the blades are too big to fit into that plug. And that's another thing that can fail in the future. This is out here in the elements. This bike sits outside. Fella doesn't have a garage under a cover. Stuff gets corroded. You could be out in the middle of the boonies and all of a sudden your bike won't crank over. Okay. It's better just, in my opinion, to eliminate it on this particular machine. So we're going to do that. And since I don't have the stuff to mount my camera properly, and I don't feel like wearing my helmet while I do this with a helmet cam, you're going to teach y'all a little bit about how to solder, live. And I've got videos on how to solder and make proper connections on these things. You guys can research that and just go back through my channel, and there's videos on how to do that. But that's what we're doing today. Hey, what's up, Bruno? Look, I don't exactly chime in too much on the chat when I'm doing these. I mainly focus on the task at hand, so I will look at it occasionally, and I'll say what's up to y'all. But if I don't respond to the chat, please understand I'm not being a dick. I'm just doing what I'm here to do and trying to spread a little knowledge for some of y'all. So here's where we're at. We had no front brakes. We crossed that off the list. It was a bad master cylinder. Bike still needs a chain and sprockets. I got to order that. We're not in a hurry because, as I said, the fella doesn't have a garage, so this bike's going to sit in my garage for him basically the rest of the winter. So we're still looking for the best deal on that. We're going to fool with the starter switch today. This was the initial diagnosis of the machine and what all absolutely needed fixed so that it would be safe and would be reliable. Bare bones minimum. I'm still looking for a deal on a front tire. His rear tire is in usable condition. The front tire has some pretty bad dry rot, so that's where we're at. So I'm going to set y'all back here real quick. I'm going to fire up my GoPro and let's do a quick walk around and talk about the progress of the project. And once that's shot, we will commence to doing a little bit of soldering, fix that issue. Then we're going to put her up on a lift. We're going to put a battery charger on a battery. We might pull the sprocket today. I don't know. As y'all know, I do work a full-time job, and I've only got limited time to do this. So the last video I did, I had tools scattered all over the garage. I had to take an hour and clean everything up and just get it in order before I even started. So, I'm not going to spend the entire day in the garage today. I'm going to try to film this in as few clips as possible. We want it in 4K. And you know what? We're going to do it in 4K. All right, what's up, folks? If you're not following my live stuff, some people ain't into it. Let's just give you an update on the Suzuki Marauder VZ800 that we've been working on and where we're at with it, in case you prefer to watch videos. We did the initial diagnosis live, everything that basically needed. This bike needs to be reliable and safe. So bare bones minimum, this is the guy's beater bike. His daughter might learn to ride on it. So we went through and looked at exactly what all it needs just to be safe and reliable, and what we'd come up with. It came in here with no front brakes. That was a bad master cylinder. It's going to need a chain and sprockets. Starter switch, right? It was being wonky. It was only working when it wanted to. It was like a Gen Z edition. You had to put a fucking bag of Cheetos and some video games and shit in front of it for it to work. You know what I'm saying? Well, that was because the clutch switch was bad. Basically, on the clutch, there's a disconnect and connect switch. Okay. Pull in a clutch, makes the connection, puts power to the starter turns over. Tires, it's going to need a front tire. So what we did to see if the clutch switch was the issue, if you look right here, this is where it plugs in. This is the switch. We basically ran a jumper wire in here. Magically, the starter button works every time. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to show it in this video. You have to check out the live to see that. We're just going to snip this off. We're going to solder this together, and we're going to weather seal this up. I got videos on how to solder wires. Proper electrical connections for motorcycles, I believe, is the actual title. You might want to check that out. If not, is what it is. That's what we're doing with that. We're going to get her up on a lift today. You'll see that in a live. And depending, I may do a little bit of this. I'm going to show you what's up with the chain and sprockets, other than being severely rusted. And yep, it's got some stretch to it. We're also going to pull the side cover off. We're going to put a, not necessarily a battery tender, but a low voltage charger on it that we can just leave on it, and it'll shut off when it hits 13 volts. When it drops below 12.2, it'll fire back up. It works like a battery tender. It's an extremely cheap one. I keep it as a backup. We're going to plug that in, let her charge. And that is basically the update to date on this bike. I've had it for a couple of 3 weeks now. It is now November 9th. So let me get to work, and we might chime back in here with this video. But you can check out the live series. As you can see, most of this I do live because it's easier for me to just work on the bike, but I want to spread knowledge on how to do this stuff to you guys. So I can leave that going in the background, and, you know, I'm mic'd up here, and I can just do what I do and narrate as I do it. It takes me a lot longer to do this, to actually get out the camera, set it up, turn the camera on and off, and do what I got to do. Stuff you should know. You need a soldering iron. I use flux core solder. I also use solder paste. It works better. You're going to need a stripper, and this has a wire cutter in it. You're going to need one of these, and shrink wrap tubing. You'll need that. And check out the live to see how I do that. I'm going to wrap this up when I get to work, and like I said, maybe I'll edit in a clip later of everything that I've done. So thanks for watching. Do me a favor, treat that like and subscribe button like it owes you money, and smash it for me, will you? I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Okay. All right, now that that's done, I can actually get some work done. And I got the heater running in here, and I really don't need it. It was like, turn it down to 60. It was like 51 degrees. And I was possibly going to do some painting today, actually. A couple of old jack stands that belonged to my grandfather that I inherited that need cleaned up and a little shot of Rust-Oleum thrown on them. All right. Let's get you guys zoomed in on what I'm doing and the hell out of my way. All right. So the mission for right now, we're going to snip this off, peel this back, strip some wire, and solder it together, and put a little shrink wrap connection in it. Shit. We put lights out for Halloween, and I brought my extra extension cords up to the house so that I could use them to, like, had like a fog machine and some lights and shit in a sound bar. I mean, yeah, we did it up this year, man. I dressed as Charles Manson. If you've seen me with my hair down in some of my other lives, you can understand. So I kind of look like Charles Manson in his prison uniform with didn't want to put the swastika on my forehead and have the little kitties picking up candy, asking, Mommy, what's on his forehead? So I just did the X. It was fun. It was fun, but that's my other job when I'm done here is to go up there and take down all the lights and stuff and bring stuff in the house, return extension cords to here. This here is simple as it gets. Cut that bastard right off. Take our gasket scraper 10,000. Get in here and just kind of trim this back out of the way. Must not cut fingers. Do not want stitches. Okay. Peeled open. Ooh, they weren't messing around. That is some very thick plastic on there. Okay. That'll be enough to get her started. Can you see what I'm doing? Can we expand you a little more? No, that's all you're going to get. But that's going to have to be good enough, isn't it? Okay. So it helps to have a little bit of fingernails. I just trimmed them short. No one's ever commented on that. I tend to grow my fingernails a little too long sometimes, but it's for shit like this. Getting into packages, all that good stuff. Yep, need a little something or another. Maybe this will work. I pick up this tool more times than you know. Go ahead and remove this little piece of a clip. Make sure you step on the soldering iron. That's important. That sliced open little a little bit further so that I can get a little more wire out of here to work with. Make my life that much easier, right? I think I need a new gasket scraper 10,000, aka an old worn out razor blade. This one has seen better days. Okay. And we get some wire to work with. As you can see, same color wire. All this does, when that switch hits, it connects these two. And all we're doing is making sure that they connect. These are pretty cool. You just set your wire in there like that and strips it right off. They're not a very expensive set, but they do just fine. You kind of got to do it a little quick like that, or they don't work that well. You got to hit it with some authority. Excuse me. Get these guys together. We've got, I'm running low on this stuff. I'm going to have to get more. We got a selection of different shrink wrap tubing. I think this might do just fine. Kind of would prefer it to be black, but is what it is. We got white. White is the right size. And we'll select a little piece. Let's see, about about that much. That should be, yeah. And we'll trim a little bit off. We don't quite need it that long. Okay. Set that off to the side and get it ready to go. Hopefully a soldering iron's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I don't have the best one. I should upgrade. All right. Should move this bike a little closer to the workbench is what I should do. I can't tell you how many times I've done this. Put your shrink wrap on the wire before you start farting around with it, because then you'll forget and you'll make your soldered connection and you'll have to go back through and redo it. You kind of want to get it as far back from there as you can. Get these guys together. This stuff is flux soldering paste. I'm using flux cord. You generally don't need this, but it just makes your connections work better, so I use it. It's like Vaseline. I'm just kind of gonna dip the wires in it, sort of, and smear some on it like that, so that it, and that's going to help the solder flow down into the connection instead of just being a blob of solder on top of the wire. That stuff will that'll allow the solder to work its way in between there and just slide up into everything. There's 10 guys who 10 guys probably on your street who can do this 10 times better than me, for real. I was taught how to solder by a good buddy of mine, God rest his soul, Chaz. He's no longer on this earth with us. And he was no kind of a mechanic whatsoever, but what he did do was mess with electronics. The guy would, like, if you had a radio from the 80s or a TV that didn't work, even from 50s and 60s back in the vacuum tube days, this guy could take it apart and make it work again. Vacuum tubes, all that stuff. Let's get a little coating of solder on here. Let it do its thing. And this is an extra step you don't necessarily have to do, but I do it with your soldering kit that you buy. Got something like this, and it kind of you're kind of going to clean your tip. We got a fresh coating of solder on the tip so that the iron has something to work on. At least that's what Chaz taught me to do. And it's nice and clean, so it's not going to be blobby. And the important thing you got to know with this is you're not melting the solder onto the wire with the iron. That's not how we do this. We are going to, okay, she's turned up all the way. We are going to use the wire to melt the solder. And I guess that's what makes the difference. I don't know. I'm just going by what somebody taught me 20 years ago. So they're basically going to heat the wire up like such. Touch the wire on, or touch the solder the wire. And believe me, you'll know when it's hot enough. Okay. We've got a soldered connection, and of course, we have melted a little bit of the shrink wrap, and that's not what I wanted to do, but that's what happened, isn't it? We'll deal with it. Unplug the soldering iron. Is that shrunk down all the way? It almost did, huh? All right, let that cool off. Turn the key. Battery's about dead on this bike. It didn't get rid enough to charge the battery, so that's what we're working with, but it'll be enough. There should be enough juice to see if that fixed our problem, which I guarantee it did. Yep. Every time, though. Whereas before, you'd hit that and it would be wonky. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it wouldn't, because that switch was shot. So we fixed that problem. And we'll take this guy, since he's good and connected, fold him down. And we're going to have to trim some of this off of here. Damn it. I knew that was going to happen with the shrink wrap being that close to the connection. Thought it might be good, but it wasn't. We'll just take like this. Where it's melted, and kind of put a split in it so that it'll slide over top and around. You don't really have a lot to work with here. And that makes this a little bit of a challenge. But you see, technically we only need this little bare piece to be covered with this. So, well, it's going to be a little bit of a devil to get it where I want it. Should be able to make it work. I ain't got no fingernails because I chopped them down short and I can't grab onto it. Kill that little spider before it bites me. Come on, dude. Quit fighting me. You are really fighting me, aren't you? Shrink wrap's not quite big enough to do this job. Should have selected a bigger size. This is the shit that you don't see in regular videos. You just see someone start to mess with it and all of a sudden, boom, it's done. You don't see them struggle and fight with something like this. And that's what I like about doing these lives like this. You see the whole damn thing, all the imperfections and everything, and you see that, you know, I'm not like a motorcycle guru. I'm just a dude who works on bikes, and you can do this too. If I can do it, anyone can. And that's honestly why I started messing with the live stuff more. Come on, guy. Get over there. Come on, you devil. There we go. There we go. All right, there we go. Now the section that we need covered will be covered. And what we could do is razor blade, and trim off the excess like that. And where is my lighter? Okay. Shrink wrap, simple enough. Get it warm. Don't touch the lighter to it. You're just using the heat from the flame like that. Touch the lighter to it, you'll melt it. You only want the heat. Okay, that's sealed up. And what we will probably do from here is just take a little black tape and wrap it up one more time just to ensure that it's fucking sealed. But now that that's done and out of the way, so we know that connection's good. We'll tidy that up with some tape later. Right now, we're going to let it cool. Get you guys out of my way. And like over here somewhere, shrink the size down to normal size. take my extension cord back because I keep my electric glide on a battery tender, especially this time of year. I'm near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we're getting onto the end of the riding season. Unless you got a beater bike that you don't care about getting salt and water spray and getting it nasty. And, well, we sold our beater bike. We picked up another one, fixed it up, got it running, was going to ride it this winter and then basically flip it. But me driving a car who wasn't paying attention decided to floor it through a solid red light. And our 2025 winter beater bike is no more because of it. So we don't got one this year. So we're going to focus on wrenching instead. Once the salt flies, like you guys have seen my other bikes, right? These are my other two. This one's not mine. This belongs to a customer. These are my other two. Nice and shiny. That bike's 30 years old this year. And they're both in mint condition. And when the salt starts flying, I don't take them out in the winter. I just don't. If I got a shitty beat up, beater bike, I don't care if it gets some rust here and there because it's already got rust and such on it. That's different. I'll ride that in the winter, but both of my Harleys stay parked. We got rain today, but it's still 52 degrees outside. Sorry about that noise. So technically it's nice enough to go for a ride, but it's raining, it's shitty, and I'm just not into it. So we decided to make a little progress on this old girl. Even though the gentleman's probably not picking it up till the end of March. So I got another bike coming in pretty soon. It's going to need some carburetor work. And that one's a different, slightly different story. Same thing. The gentleman doesn't want it done until spring, but he is able to pay me, so his bike kind of takes a little bit of priority. All right. Yep. That ain't what we wanted, is it? Yeah, we are definitely overdue for a proper goddamn motorcycle lift. Which will hopefully be coming before the end of winter. I'm going to get this girl up into the air just because it's going to make life easier. Okay. That ain't good. Oh, dude, Charlie, your fucking front exhaust pipe's ready to fall off, buddy. All right, we got to address that. Didn't even see that. It's the importance of taking your time and going through it. This bike has just sat and sat and sat, so this is why we're doing this. This is like not really a necessary precaution, but this is something I do for my own peace of mind, because this bike will probably sit on this lift for a while. We're going to put a strap on it, safety strap, to ensure that it doesn't fall off the lift. Yeah, that one's better over there because that'll leave me open and I'll have more room. We're going to go, there's a hook there and a hook here. We're going to go crosswise. Like I said, it's not necessarily something you got to do, but it's something I do because, as I said, gives me a little peace of mind. Yeah, you know what? We're going to set it up. We're not going to hook it up just yet. She's pretty stable, but I think we're going to need to pull these off to get to the battery. I'm not sure exactly what side it's on this bike, so that strap will interfere with me removing that. So let's go ahead and take a look, see what we have to do there. Get you guys situated here. Once we get them covers off, we'll part around there. I think the battery's under here. It could be under the seat on this bike. I'm not sure. Not sure. It's looking like it's under this side. Yep, that's his external. We got one bolt. Looks like we got one Allen key there, and that's it. Should be metric. All right, so we may have to order an exhaust gasket for that. That could be why that thing's so flopping. That's basically no good. I mean, whatever, it's just going to make noise, but I personally would like to see that not do that. So those gaskets are pretty cheap. If that is the case, I will order one for Homeboy and throw it in there, which will give me an excuse to take these pipes off, and when they're off, I can put them up there on the bench. There's like melted pieces of the cover on them. I can probably get most of that off and kind of bring these back around, make them look a little better. I mean, I would really like to see that happen. And it would be a whole hell of a lot easier. Well, shit, he's got a battery tender setup on this. But the only clip I got and battery tender I got is on my Harley, so we're not going to use it. We're going to do it a different way. Salt trucks ain't going to fly for another couple weeks. And I just might get another ride in on the electric glide. Okay, this was a switch for his LED lights that the owner expressed to me he wanted that all removed. And look at that. His pins for this are shot. So that's got to go. Anyway, that definitely has to go. We'll thread this little screw back up where it needs to go so that we don't lose it. I don't know why the Japanese did this on so many of their bikes. Like, the carburetor's here, the fuel tank's here. Theoretically, you should not need a fuel pump. Theoretically. And I've run into this on a Honda VTX 1300, 2003 and 2004 models. A lot of them came with a very shitty fuel pump. And you could upgrade to the next year, or you could do what I did and eliminate it and run a gravity feed to the carburetor, which worked like perfect. It stranded me once because the fuel pump died. Yes, a Honda stranded me on the side of the road because the fuel pump died. I had a pen in my book bag, and I just basically took my knife and sliced it, used the fuel lines and the clamps that were there to shove a pen in there and make my own little fuel line to get it home and fix it properly. For those of you who think a Honda will not break down, think again. When your Honda breaks down, I'm the guy you bring your Honda to. I work on all manner of bikes. I don't necessarily specialize in one brand or another. But I know these Japanese bikes very well because, well, let's face it, most of my life I was poor. And you could buy a machine like this for, in this kind of shape, for real, Facebook Marketplace, back in the day, Craigslist, further back in the day, Cycle Trader, Walnuts, all that. You can find beat up Japanese bikes that ain't seen no love for like $500 or less. You know, basically back in the day, like a week's pay. Might take you 6 months to save that up. But you could pick up something that, with a little bit of love and patience, you could make it ride and get down the road again. And a lot of the bikes I had over the years, sometimes I didn't have a car because I was that broke. I always had a motorcycle. And that's why I would buy old beat up stuff like this and just keep it running. And that's what this channel is all about, trying to teach you guys, well, girls and guys, I guess there's females who watch this, trying to teach y'all a thing or two on keeping an old motorcycle up and going, and teaching you that you don't have to have tons and tons of money. You don't have to take a loan out. You don't have to make payments to enjoy the bike life. You do got to have some patience, a little bit of tools, some skills. It helps to have a buddy like me who can teach you something you don't automatically know or whatever. All that stuff's to be seen. Most of y'all out there got friends that ride, and that's what's got you into riding, maybe, if you're new to the motorcycle scene. There we go. And we just got a little bit of a strap set on here, not super tight, but enough that it's going to suck the bike down to the actual lift and keep it from tumbling off on me. Oh, I put my knee back into joint. My left knee is not in good shape at all. I have had some pretty wicked motorcycle crashes over the years, and the damage is done. And I'm too young for a knee replacement, so I just got to live with it for a while. Okay, that's a 6. Do I have a hex key socket in 6 mil? I think that I do. 6, yep. Get the seat removed here. Now, when you got multiple projects going on, it kind of helps. Like, I keep old cardboard boxes. We just moved here at the end of August and set up in this garage. So I kept a shit ton of boxes for a couple of reasons. Number one, oil spills and stuff. Kitty litter is great. You know, oil dry. It's also dusty and makes a mess. You know, something's going to leak oil. You can put a little cardboard on the floor, which is, you know, usually free, right? Oil dry and kitty litter costs money. Cardboard's free. So I kept a shit ton of boxes, and I keep cardboard laying around. That way, if I'm going to work on an engine and I think a little oil is going to spill, or if I'm going to fill oil, anything, I'll throw cardboard under the bike. As well as the crankcase breathers on my Harley Davidson sometimes will drip a little oil out when I bring the bike in hot from a good hard ride. So I'll just kick a piece of cardboard under to catch them 1 or 2 drips from the breather. And in this case, what we got here is a parts box. So basically everything that I'm pulling off this bike that's going to be off of it for a while, like the side covers and the seat, at least be off there for a week, right? So or pull them off. I'm going to put them right here in the box. Let me show you something else cool. This right here, where was the tag? This is a Saddleman seat. Look it up. This probably cost $600 new, and it's not in too bad a shape. You can see the leather's kind of whatever. We are going to clean this up and rub mink oil into it and see if we can't bring it back around. Once the mechanical issues are addressed, we're going to do a little cosmetic on this and kind of clean her up a little. I think I can make this look almost like brand new. I hope so anyway. Because that is a really nice, and at the time it was purchased, a really nice and expensive seat. I'd like it to look a little better. The original toolkit. We got this mountain of bullshit wires. That's all got to go bye-bye. Jeez, oh man. The hell did they hide the battery on this bastard? Probably under this guy, huh? Yep. Does this tray come off or does it just flip up? Yep, it comes off. Pull that off. Just enough to expose the battery because, Jesus Lord, I have to figure this out. Homeboy doesn't want these wires on there. He doesn't want the LEDs on there. He doesn't like them. I don't like them either. We're going to get them gone. That's interesting. That's for the stock seat. Yep. That would be how you pull the stock seat off. There's the damn cables go up somewhere to a little pull switch. But we don't have the stock seat. We have the Saddleman seat. So that's the name of that tune. All right, let's get you over here. Now look, this is what kills me. Oh, we got some people in the chat. Sorry, guys. Slide this down. You got a handy lift for sale up in Somerset. No shit, dude. This bike here came from Somerset, man. All right. Well, look, find me on Facebook, Kevin Baumgartner. Send me a message and we'll hook up, dude. I just might buy that lift off you. I'm going to have to probably rent a truck to get it to my house. But depending on what Harley parts you got, if you got stuff for an Evo, dude, I might be into it. So, closing your shop. Oh, bummer. I hate to see your shop close, dude. You don't have Facebook. What's the name of your shop? I'll tell you what, you can go any one of my videos and comment the name of your shop. And if you got that alone, I'll find you. You can probably figure out my email from this. Shoot me an email. I don't check my email that often, but we'll link up, dude, for sure. We will link up because I actually want a table lift. This little thing sucks, but literally, I don't know if you are new to this channel. Literally, I'm just under 5 years clean and sober. Okay. It wasn't that long ago. I was basically homeless and had $20 to my name. So in that amount of time, I got up on my feet, got my credit right, bought a new car, paid on it for a while, got my credit better, bought this house with this shop. So I'm working with what I got. We're not a big fancy shop channel, none of that stuff, man. I'm just a dude doing the best I can with what I got. So I would definitely buy a used lift off to somebody. Because we're going into winter right now, which means my overtime is cut. Gives me more time to wrench, but I got my stash built up pretty good. But now when I'm a homeowner, I like to keep my stash where it is until my overtime comes back. So dropping $1,000 on a nice table lift, not really in the cards for a wise man. You know what I'm saying? Could I? Sure. But it's really not the wisest thing for me to do right now. Gonna move my electric glide over here so that I got enough room to plug this guy into it. Positive, negative. Okay. We'll let that charge for a little bit. Move on to something different. Yep. Well, that's charging. Check out the chat a little bit. Say hi to you guys. Phillips High Performance HD. I've been working on Harley Davidsons for 25 years. Close to Greensburg. Email me. Yeah, sweet, for sure. Close to Greensburg, sort of, man. You familiar with McKeesport? I'm up in Port View. McKeesport is right across the river. Hey, what's up, Moses? Nine years sober. That's awesome. Phillips High Perf HD. Let me scribble that down here on the board real quick. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, let's see. I got you right there. All right, here we go. Yeah, I don't, as far as the channel goes, Harley Davidson stuff gets me a shit ton of views. But it's not what I'm into. You see what I ride, right? What I'm trying to do with this channel is folks that, like, I'm at a stage in my life that I'm financially finally doing okay. You know, we got the house and everything. I got a decent car. I got like a little under 10 grand into both my bikes. So they both needed a little bit of things, but nothing major. So I picked them up on the cheap, fixed them up. I didn't really do videos on any of that. They give me a ton of videos, but that's not really the kind of viewers that I'm trying to attract. As far as the bikes that I work on here, I'm going to be straight up with you. If you roll up to this garage, let me grab a cigarette here. If you roll up to this garage with a $25,000 to $35,000 Harley on the back of a truck that's $50,000, I don't want your business. I want the guy who is dreaming about riding a bike, but is living paycheck to paycheck. That's the kind of person, because I mean, I'm not going to try to make a living. We're in Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to try to make a living doing this. I work at a steel mill right across the river. I do a sliding labor fee for people. What I think you can afford, you know. I don't want to work on your 2019 CVO Road King. I don't care. You know, that's cool. There's a guy across the river who can definitely do it better than me. That's all he's ever done is work on Harleys. Take your bike to him. You know what I'm saying? I want the guy like this guy here with this Suzuki that it's like a $500 bike. He's put his daughter through college right now. His wife is injured. She had to have shoulder surgery. She's out of work. So Like he ain't got extra money to go, here, sweetheart, here's a new bike, or here, sweetheart, I just spent $2,000 getting the bike fixed for you. No, I've known him for 20 years, and I'm like, homie, look, he can't just, can you get me on tax return time? I'll front you all the parts. I'll fix it as cheap as I can and make it good and reliable for you. There you go. For the most part, if you could find parts cheaper to me, I doubt it because I do a lot of eBay. If you could find parts cheaper to me, order them, send them here. That's how we work. Shop rate. Most places around here, especially your Harley guys, because as you know, man, if it's pre Milwaukee 8, Harley won't touch it. They won't work on my Evo. They only want to work on a twin cam. But they charge you $1.50 an hour, and the other guys around here are between $1 and $1.50 an hour, $150. I mean, I'll go as low as $30 an hour, if you need it. And it's a sliding thing. If you bring me something like a Honda Shadow that needs a stator, that's more than a 3-hour job sometimes, but I'll bill you $90 labor because I can do that in 4 or 5 hours down here on a Saturday type of deal. And it puts a couple bucks in my pocket and puts somebody out on the road riding, that kind of thing. If you roll up with a nicer bike and you want it professional, perfect, like this guy doesn't care that I didn't change that switch out. I just, soldered it together and made it work. This guy doesn't care that the, chain and sprockets are not going to be the highest quality. Adjust hourly on the rate based on the person's needs. Yeah, pretty much, man. And how much of a pain in the ass would be? $65 an hour is what I charge. Yeah, I'd like to be around 60, but it's just depends on what you bring me, A few more things. Definitely got to get a good lift because my back is shot. I broke my back, my right wrist for a second time, 3 ribs, both feet compound fractured, knocked out my front teeth in a motorcycle accident in 2018. And I'm foobarred from that. When it rains, dude, I'm in some pain. So that lift would make life so much easier. But prior to that, we need to pick up a press. You're a Harley guy. You're going to know this, what I'm about to show you. I need to pick up a small press, like a 2-ton, maybe a 5-ton. For these, I know you know exactly what this is. There's so many twin cam bikes out there people are sleeping on. And the twin cam's a hell of a good motor. But everybody is so scared of changing these cam chain tensioners. And I ain't gonna lie, I picked that bike up and we got this house. Boom, right now. We got to move. I got this going on. I got that going on. And if you see my old shop, you'd see why I didn't want to tear open a Harley motor in my old shop. So I took this to a local guy and was like, bike got 50,000 miles. I didn't tear into it all the way, but I did pop open the push rod covers and they're factory push rods. That tells me more likely than not, no one's ever changed the tensioners. What do you charge me to change the tensioners? Because I just don't have time to do it. Well, we can't even find them. And I looked at them. I'm like, pulled out my phone. J&P Cycles got them. There's 6 different places on eBay that's got them. I mean, I know that's like a 6-hour job for you. You got all the shit to do it. I know what it's going to cost. Like, I'll pay you cash if you want. You ain't even got to write me a receipt. That way you can put the cash in your pocket. Well, all right, look, how about if I order a fueling cam plate and a high volume oil pump, send it to you? Yeah, we could do that, but I'll order it. All right, cool. So we went with the fueling cam plate and the hydraulic tensioners. You never have to touch it again. And I gave this dude a substantial amount of money. I'm frugal. I save my money up. I make good money. Cool, whatever. I know it's good. And if you didn't do something right and my engine scatters, I'm coming back to you. You're going to put a new engine in my bike. So, all right, I had more money than free time. I paid him to put the cam plate in there. And I don't have to worry about it simply because I don't have a press to press the cams into the cam plate. I'd had to go bother my buddy, have him do it, and I didn't have time. We're in the middle of buying a house and moving. If you've ever done that, you know how much of a nightmare that can be. Cool. I dropped more money than I wanted to, but I paid him to do it. I got my bike back, and I realized that when you open the cam chest, you're going to lose like 2 tablespoons of oil. You don't got to change your oil. But when I hand you a wad of cash like that to fix my bike, and I look at the dipstick and the oil's fucking black, you got less than $70 in some synthetic oil in a filter. I handed you that fat wad of cash. You couldn't throw it. I'll never go back to him again. But that's my next move as far as the Harley Davidson stuff here, because if you look at marketplace and what's going on and what people are selling these bikes for, being as everybody's afraid of them, I'd like to be able to set up to do these cam plate kits, and do it for an affordable price for people. Or now that I have the room to do it, a decent enough lift that, hey, look, I'll just change your tensioners and you're good for another 30,000 miles, and I could do it on a Saturday. That's my next move as far as the Harley Davidson stuff, to get folks who normally couldn't afford to ride a Harley into one of these old twin cams that everybody's sleeping on. Like, I'm seeing really nice twin cam Dynas that are clean, sell for like $3,000. And that's the main thing you got to do, is throw the cam chain tensioners. So that's my next move as far as the Harley stuff. We get together, I'll show you super fucking right, dude. Hell yeah. First motorcycle I got was a 66 Honda 160 Dream. My dad bought it for me when I was 9. Right on. My grandfather almost got killed riding I want to say 67 Honda 305 Super Hawk. It belonged to my uncle. And this accident I just had in May of 2025 was about a mile and a half away from where it happened. And literally same thing. Somebody ran a red light, hit him, totaled the bike, whatever. My grandfather was an Indian fan. Wife, kids, family, didn't have time for motorcycles. And when the Honda started getting popular, my Uncle Bruce bought that 305. So when he was off in Vietnam, his bike was sitting home, and my pap rode it almost every day until somebody wiped it out. Your email is above. Yeah, I'll find you. Actually, I'm going to write that down on here too. Good deal. That way I can find you. But yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, I'm about with no traffic, about a 25-minute ride from Greensburg. Just shoot down Route 30, catch Route 48, and once you get through McKeesport, turn across the bridge. Them suburbs up on a hill, that's Port View. That's where I'm at. I don't have zoning to be like a proper garage. I can't have a sign. All that happy horse shit. I don't want to get into it with the local borough in town and have to go to fucking town meetings and then grease palms. No, that's not how I work. I want to be able to do this out of my garage and get people out there and in the wind riding who normally couldn't afford to ride. That's my ultimate end goal of doing this. And it's a part of, like I said, 5 years clean and sober. This is a part of what keeps me doing what I'm doing. I'm down here in a Friday night. If I ain't got nothing to work on, I'm polishing one of my Harleys instead of sitting at the bar or instead of watching TV with a beer. It's what I do. That's what kept me going, to keep me sober and keep me doing my thing. I don't attend meetings, none of that happy horse shit. All right. We got the battery tender on the bike. Cigarette break is done. I guess we could police this area up a little bit. And especially like this time of year, man. Hey, thanks, man. Brian Deal, appreciate you. My local dealer is not thrilled with me. I worked for them for 20 years. Customers knew me and trusted me. Right on. I'm not going to throw names out there, but there was a dealer that is now no longer. It was near the West Mifflin Port Authority garage. You can figure out the dealer from there. Hot metal, Steel Town. Ooh. Anyways, the gentleman who did my cam plate worked for them, and the same deal. He was like their head guy. And I don't really want to talk shit on the guy. He did a good job on my bike. I'm just a little miffed that I handed you that much money and you gave me my bike back with dirty oil in it. That's not cool. Like, something that small, $70 out of your pocket, give or take, for you didn't have to do a three hole oil change, but just change the engine oil and filter on my bike. And I'd have been like, cool. Anytime I come up with a project that I don't got time to do because I got 2 or 3 bikes in here and my bike needs something, I'll take it to you. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, that's just not cool. Like, it just shows me that you're not taking me serious. I get it, dude. I look like a white trash meth head. You know, whatever. Maybe that's what I used to be. Maybe it's not. How do you know that I ain't got $10,000 in my bank account? You don't. You judge me by the way you looked at me and by what I brought you. I brought you an old twin cam ultra classic. You got a nice M8 customized Road King in there that I could have bought off you. But I had money set aside to down payment on this joint here. If I wanted that bike, I could have bought it. But that's how you did me? Cool. I'll never go back. And I don't want to drop his shop name because I'm sure he's a good guy. I'm not trying to be like that. No pissing contest. It's just that one little thing. You gave me my bike back with dirty oil. That kind of upset me because I handed you a good bit of money to do the job. Right on, dude. You probably did work on this black and yellow bike. Let me put this stuff away real quick and I'll back the camera out. This bike came from near Somerset. I forget the exact name of the town. The gentleman wasn't into bikes that much. He was more your modern Mopar muscle car guy. And I guess he had a family member that got himself in a jam and needed some money. So he bought the bike off him, rode it a couple times, was sort of afraid of it. When I got it off of him, it needed a carb rebuild and a clutch adjusted. And Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports this machine with a passion. She's not comfortable on it. It pulls hard. The seat's small. Yeah, he did about 10 years ago. The whole Dynabro bullshit from the Sons of Anarchy thing. And this for me, like, the bars are a little tall, but it reminds me of my 1200 Sportster because you can see I'm a big dude. I physically look like a rhinoceros with a rollerblade jammed up my ass on a Sportster, but I love my Sportster. This is just a little bigger. It runs like all hell. According to him, the bike's got S&S internals. I don't know. I haven't torn into it to look at them because it hasn't given me any problems. But I do want to do a 2-into-1 on this just because I want a 2-into-1. Maybe a Bassani that might be this winter. And I like the ape hangers, but they're a little too, they're just above my shoulder. These are 16s. I might swap out to a set of 14s, just drop the bars down to here, and I shouldn't have to change any of my cables or wiring. I can just drop them in. And I think I want to go with chrome instead of black. But I have enjoyed the hell out of this. It's just the missus, that don't cut it for her. This bike scares the shit out of her. It's loud. She feels like there's not enough bike under her. It terrifies her. No shit. That's what's up. I pulled the baffles out of them. It's ignorantly loud now. I haven't fired it up in like 3 weeks. Hopefully the battery's good to go. I probably am going to replace this battery for next spring. My neighbors absolutely hate this bike. Another reason why I don't ride it. I leave for work at 4 a.m, so bad deal. As you know, I'm old school, right? Don't give it no fuel. Just keep it right above idle until you feel a little heat build up in the cylinder. Base gaskets like to blow on the Evos. Hey, what's up, Riding with Brody? What's up, Moses? Just that's 3 weeks that bike sat. Maybe it might even have been a month it sat. I really don't ride this thing that much. Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports 2 weeks ago broke her foot, so she can't ride with me. If she's going to ride with me, it's going to be on the Electra Glide. She likes this bike. She actually, to be honest with you, she liked my Yamaha Royal Star Venture 10 times better than this. Is what it is. It's more comfortable. Thank God someone knows how to warm up an Evo. Yeah, I don't want to change base gaskets, man, and I don't want to foul my plugs. Once she's up and running, you drop the choke and you just keep the damn thing running at about 1,000 RPMs while you're touching the cylinder until you feel it. A lot of folks don't understand that. You got an aluminum motor and you got steel studs going up through it, right? That aluminum's going to expand. That's, you know this. I'm explaining this for the folks who don't. That aluminum's going to expand. That cylinder's going to get taller. That's going to pull tighter on them studs. It's going to push down harder on that gasket until it's warm. You don't rev the piss out of it. You get it to where you can just barely touch your hand to the cylinder. When it's warm to that point, then you can ride it. It's just an Evo thing. If you do that, your base gaskets tend to last 20 times longer. You're not tearing them down. You're not replacing them. That's just something an old timer whose beard was this color the whole way told me years ago when I bought my first Evo. I wasn't doing YouTube videos at the time. I was just in a different situation in life. The woman I was with had 4 kids, was in a horrific custody battle, and was worried, they'll see your YouTube videos, and if you say the wrong thing, fuck off. But I had a 92 Heritage. Prior to that, I had a Sportster. That was actually my first Harley Davidson, was that Sportster. It was after that bike crash, and I couldn't hold up a big bike. I had a Honda Shadow VT 1100, same deal, picked it up for $1,000. It needed the carbs worked. So, all right, right on, man, for sure. I will. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, brother. But yeah, it needed some work on the carbs. Rode it. During then, I bought a brand new Honda Fury. That's the VT 1300 chopper bike. Got ran off the road, got broke up real bad. I'm not supposed to be here, let alone walking. And I couldn't hold up that Honda Shadow. I ended up selling it and put a little more money together. And I bought a beat up old 1200 Sportster because it was light, had enough power for me to ride. I enjoyed it. It is what it is, And that's what got me into Harley. A little while later, maybe a year later, I had some more saved up. I picked up a 92 Heritage Softail. Fucking beautiful bike. Custom paint job, custom everything. I don't know what was done to the motor. I bought it off a kid who bought it off the second owner, so it was passed along. All he knew is it had a big cam, and according to him, it kept up with a 103. I can tell you this. You bang shifted first gear, you bang shifted second gear, and if you weren't careful, you were hazing the tire. And if you bang shifted third gear and cracked it, it would haze the tire in third. That bike fucking screamed. And then the inner clutch bearing went out. And I tore it down to fix that. And if you go through my Facebook from years ago, in tearing that down, I seen who worked on the bike, and every nut and bolt was rounded. On the inner primary, there's little tabs. Like where the nut and bolt goes through, there's a tab that you bend up on the nut so it can't. They were all broken off. Shit was stripped. Shit was helicoiled. The inner primary was cracked in 3 places from the chains flying off and welded back together. Like this bike was rode hard, beat the piss out of and put away wet. And it ran good, but it needed more love than I could afford to give it. And I didn't have the time to do it either. Pandemic hit. I ended up having to sell it. It was one of them bikes I wished I would have never sold. That's why I did that video of this Dyna saying, you know, your forever bikes, you're never going to sell that bike, even though I don't ride it. That's the bike I'm never going to sell. That's the forever bike. Yeah, I can't wait to get in touch with this Nathan Phillips here. For sure. He said he sent me an email. I'll have to go up. I don't piss with that on the phone. The more information I can get on this bike, the better. I have not torn the engine down to confirm all the mods done to the engine that the guy said was done, because everybody says that, right? It runs good. There's no reason to tear it down. That's what I'm saying, but I'd like to. Maybe this fella will know what all's done, because this doesn't run like an Evo. Way more torque. It doesn't have crazy top end punch. It doesn't have a big cam. That's how you can tell. You put a big cam in an Evo, it's going to scream on the top end. This bike doesn't do that. It pulls hardest around 3,000 RPM. So if it's got a cam, it doesn't have a lot of overlap. It's got a little lope to the idle, nothing crazy. So it's definitely not a lot of valve overlap. It's not a radical cam. It's a mid-range cam. So I'm not sure. Could be, I'm thinking EV27, just the first step up in cam. S&S Super E carburetor and Advance and Hines pipes. That much I could tell has been done, but as far as the rest of it, I honestly don't know. Cigarette break number 2. All right, let's see what the old Suzuki's gonna say. It hasn't been on charge very long, but let's see what she's gonna say. She might talk to us. I doubt it. Yeah, she's not going to talk to us yet. It needs charge. Like that little pissant charger on it, that's going to have to charge all night for it to. But we did, however, fix the issue with right here, the neutral safety or clutch safety. We did fix that issue. While we're starting bikes, why don't we fire up the Electroglide? As you can see, this bike stays on a battery tender. It could use, I'm going to be honest with you, it could use a new battery. That battery's not shot, but the bike sat for an entire year plugged into a battery tender, and it got ridden maybe twice in that year. This machine was owned by a widow, literally, like I can confirm this. Her late husband was a good friend of one of my best childhood friends. And he passed away, sadly, of a heart attack young. And he never did any work to this bike. It was always done at a local bike shop. I know for a fact it is pretty much all stock internals, aside from the high volume oil pump and the fueling cam plate and upgraded cam chain tensioner. And I know that's done because I had it done. But the difference, like, if y'all been watching this for a minute, I fired up that Evo. You seen what I did there. As soon as it got running, I dropped the choke, and I just kept it just above idle, and I kept my hand on the cylinder to feel it warm up. And how I explained, you have to do that to keep the base gaskets from blowing out. On a twin cam, a fuel-injected twin cam, it's a whole different engine. You don't have to do none of that shit. You turn the key, check engine light's going to come on, fuel pump's going to run. Wait for the check engine light to go out, you push the starter button. Once the check engine light's out, the idle's settled, you're ready to go riding. That quick, that easy. You can hear, this has aftermarket mufflers, but they're nothing crazy. I'll get back here so you can hear them. Here, we'll do something like this. I'll let it warm up a little bit. Yeah, total difference. Like that's your new school fuel injected. How many people? 7. That's your new school fuel injected. You don't got to fart around. You hit the key and you go. And that's really cool, but it just doesn't have the soul of those old bikes. I love those things, man. This is more convenient. This is what I ride to work. It's not loud. You can hear it coming, but it's not fuck you loud like that bike, but you can hear it coming. This is my daily rider. Um, yeah, it is what it is. I was saving for a down payment on my house, and like I mentioned earlier, early May, that idiot in a cage decided to run a red light and take out my beater bike. And I'd been watching this one on Marketplace, and I really wanted to buy it, but I was saving for a house down payment. Well, that idiot ran that red light and took me out. But the good thing about it is I literally had this guy mounted to the front of my bike. And this guy mounted to my helmet. And you can plain as day see her running that red light, which got me a pretty nice settlement, which aided a good bit into my house down payment, which made my monthly payment on my mortgage much lower. And I decided to take some money, and since I wanted this, my beater bike was totaled. I didn't want another beater bike. I wanted an Ultra. I bought that Ultra. I knew background. I knew not necessarily the man who owned it, but I knew his best friend. I bought it. I threw some money at it to get the cam chain tensioners upgraded and the oil pump upgraded. And that's now my daily ride. It was one of them things like, God was watching out for me that day. I didn't really get hurt. I had a sore shoulder for a few weeks, but I had my leather on and a full face helmet, work boots, jeans. I was filming a tutorial of how to ride in the rain, of all things, and I had to stop and pick up some buns. We were having burgers for dinner, and Mrs. Phoenix Motorsports didn't want ghetto burgers on Wonder Bread. She wanted buns. Is what it is, man. I had the green arrow the right away. She had a solid red. I went to make my left. She saw traffic was moving, didn't see me, wasn't paying attention, literally floored it and banged right into the side of the bike. I seen it coming and kind of jumped like that. The bike kicked me, threw me about 15 feet or so. Landed, rolled it off, had some bruising on my legs and shins. And in general, come on, dude, I'm 45 years old. You take a tumble like that, it's going to hurt. And it did. I was able to happen on a Saturday. I was at work on Monday, and after work on Monday, since I knew I had the check coming from that accident, because I called the insurance company right away and sent them the GoPro footage. I'm like, how are we doing this? And talked to them, talked to my lawyer. It wasn't very long. A couple of months went by. I got a nice fat check. So what I had saved up for the down payment, I took that and I bought my electric glide. All right, let's get back to what we were doing. Quit with the bullshit bike firing up session. We have the battery on charge. Do I have electrical tape down here? Because I would like to put some electrical tape on that spliced up piece. And I don't think I have any. Devil. I do. It's not down here. It's upstairs. It is what it is. I don't think we're going to do any other work on this bike today. You know what we are going to do? We're going to throw a piece of cardboard under there, and since we confirmed that this is no good, that's loose. If we confirmed that, we're going to go ahead and shoot both of these with some PB Blaster. It's as rusted as they are. I have the distinct feeling that as soon as I touch them with a wrench, they're going to break right off. So we're going to give them the best chance they got. It's not something I'm going to mess with today. I'm going to mess with it in the future. What I am going to do is juice them up with a little bit of penetrating oil so that when it comes time to pull that off and put a new gasket, they will have been soaked a few times. You don't gotta go crazy with this stuff. There's a million and one products. I like this AB blaster. It works great. If I have something I know is going to be super stubborn, in fact, we might even put a drop on this just to do it. I have literally had this can. It's halfway full. I've had this for 25 years. Before you could get it in a spray, before you could buy it in stores, I bought this. Actually, the machine shop I worked in, I had the guy order an extra can and I slid him some cash. That's how long I've had this. This is the absolute for stuck things that don't want to move. So since we hit it with PB, we're going to put a couple drops in there. Let that do its thing. And about a week from now, I'll go ahead and pull that and we'll see if we need a new gasket. Those donut gaskets for them, very, very cheap. Wipe this up off the floor. Very, very cheap. Should be $10 or less for two. So we'll go ahead and put one on there for him. All right, I ain't got the tape down here to fix that. So let's go on ahead and let's get you over here. We're going to take a look at the chain. Another piece of cardboard. We're going to lube this chain before we even mess with it. Because I'm pretty much done with any work I'm going to do down here today. This is kind of a get up out of the house and out of my easy chair day. But I really don't want to work today. So we're doing a whole lot of checking and lubing and doing stuff like that. Let's get the camera turned around for you guys. Man, it is really awesome. Through YouTube, I got to meet the guy who did a lot of work on my Super Glide before I owned it, and that's cool as shit. He's got some parts, and he's actually got a lift that I may end up buying off of him out of Somerset, where this bike came from. That's the power of the internet, man. That's something that's awesome. Put some cardboard up underneath here to catch. All right. Chain's way out of adjustment. And she's rusted real bad. I'm seeing a frozen link, 2 frozen links. Oh, my Lord, Charles. Let's get you guys in here close so you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll get back to the whole teaching of things, right? Let me see this, how I can pull it that far off. Can you see that? If this chain was a little more lubed up, you would see this better, but you see this, how far that stretches out. You can tighten the chain all you want. Okay, like your slack here, you could take all that slack out. You're still going to be able to pull it back here. This chain is stretched. I've seen 100 times worse, but this chain is poo. She's done. And yeah, we are going to have to order a chain and sprockets. I have seen way worse as far as the sprocket. I did, however, for this bike, find a pretty cool, it's not an O-ring chain. It's not a heavy duty chain. This is not a heavy duty bike. This is a stock 800cc cruiser. So we don't really have to be crazy with the chain on this, but we need a new one. The sprocket is gold anodized and the chain is gold anodized, but the outer links are anodized red. It's going to match real good Like I said, it's not a heavy duty, and it's honestly, it's a cheap one. It's $50 for the sprockets and chain. A good O-ring chain alone should be $150. Just a regular chain, 50. I found it on eBay. I'm going to order it. I can get 2 sprockets and a chain for $50. For what this bike is, that's what it's going to get. Let's see. We're going to use really don't want to use PB Blaster on that. I don't feel like that's going to be the best. I want to use something else on this. Something that I tested this when my YouTube channel was about pew pew, was about guns. I tested this stuff then. I didn't really like it. This is CLP. Break free. This is actually a gun cleaner and lubricant. It's very tacky and sticky. So it will penetrate. Do I want to use this or not? You know what? No. Let's do the PB Blaster instead, because I kind of want this whole thing to come back apart for me. I don't want to have to cut it. I don't want to have to cut the master link. I'd like to take that apart, replace it with new, and the sprockets. I'm not going to save them, but I will save that chain. It's shot. Okay, it's shot. But if I can hang it up from the rafters, and I got a kid local here with a dirt bike whose chain snapped, and I can take this and cut a couple links out and make it fit, and the kid can ride his dirt bike again. Something like that. I'll go ahead and do that for somebody. So we're going to try to save it. We're just going to... We're going to get her all wetted up and lubed up. You got cardboard on the floor to try to keep the mess down. I have this turned all the way down. As you can see, it's barely squirting out because I don't really want a huge mess on my floor. I just want this chain to be somewhat lubed up. All right, we're going to let that sit, soak, do its thing. And we'll go ahead and a little bit on the adjusters, because they're going to have to come apart. Get you over here. We're going to do the same thing over here. Another little piece of cardboard up underneath of it. Let that all soak in and do its thing. And the next installment on this, we'll go ahead and pull the back wheel off, and we will get into, this motorcycle has drum brakes, so we'll get into how to maintenance those. There's going to be a cam behind here, and then a shoe and a shoe. Kind of, if the brake shoes are in good shape, we're going to reuse them, but we're going to take and clean everything, disassemble it, clean that cam, and lubricate it. That's a job for another day. I really want the penetrating oil to do its thing so that I can take it apart easily. And as you can see, our battery is on charge. So I'm going to move you back here. I'm going to film one more clip for my actual update video on this machine. And I think after that, what time we got? It's 1 o'clock. I think after that's done, we're going to cut this and I'm going to go eat lunch. All right, you guys get to watch me do what I do with the camera. All right. Cross off the list here. That. And we're going to add to this list the front header loose possible bad gasket. Okay. Get this camera fired up here. All right, so we're back again with the update video on the Suzuki VZ800 Marauder, where we're at. We did a first take. I don't know if it's saved, so we'll go back over everything again, and I'll edit this out, and you won't see it. The bike came to me running and riding, but in pretty rough shape. There was no front brakes. It was due to a bad master cylinder, which we replaced. It was a little wonky as far as getting it to start, like possibly the starter switch was shot, which we diagnosed that and found out that the clutch safety switch was actually shot. We fixed that by basically soldering these two wires together, and there you go. The battery is on its last legs. I've got it on a charger now. We have established that the front tire, it's no good. I could probably try to find the spot and show you, but there are some serious dry rot cracks right there. See that? That front tire is shot. We lubed up the chain and sprockets. But, I mean, I have seen way worse, but they're wallowed out right here. And it's got a bit much on the slack. That's not bad, but here's the main thing. You see how you can stretch it off the sprocket real easy like that? That far. That's a chain that's stretched. That chain shot. So we're going to replace the chain and sprockets. I'm going to save this chain just for a simple idea that maybe there's a kid in this area with a dirt bike that has a broken chain. This can be used for something like that. Somebody that doesn't have a chain and needs a chain to ride their bike. This is totally shot. But for somebody that doesn't have one and absolutely needs one, if I got a chunk of chain that I can make work for someone and give to them, it still has a wee little bit of life. You know, it'll last the kid a month on a dirt bike. So rather than throw it away, I'm going to keep it, hang it from the rafters, and save it for something like that. So that's the update. That's where we're at. And we found one more thing while we were putting the bike up on the lift here. And that is the front header. She's loose. Now, I don't know if it's a matter of just tightening this down. There should be a donut gasket behind her. It's probably worn out. We're not going to take that apart today. You can see how rusted it is. We soaked it with penetrating oil. We'll come back in. We'll mess with that on another day. And so that's our update so far. We've fixed the front brakes. We fixed the issue with the starter switch. We also found that the front header was loose and a possible bad gasket. So we're crossing things off the list as we go. And I'm also filming this live on my YouTube. Not filming it, but I'm live streaming this. So I get a little more in depth in the live stream videos. It's just easier for me instead of editing and piecing this all together. So that's how we're doing a lot of this stuff. So you can check in on the lives. I understand they might be a little boring, a couple hours long, but for me to actually set up and make a video of doing all this takes twice as long as me just doing it. So that's kind of how we're going to do things. The actual work on the bike, you can see that live on my live streams. And I'm basically just going to recap everything in the videos, like an update type thing on these bikes. I got another one coming in here hopefully soon. But do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit that notifications button. If you're not doing nothing, I try to schedule my lives around the weekend and in the evenings. That way folks are already home from work. You know, they've had their supper in their belly and they're chilling, looking for something to watch on TV. Boom, that's when my live's going to pop up because, well, this ain't my day job. This is what I do for fun. So that's when I have time to do it. So that's what's up. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, hit the notifications. I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. All right, yo. So now that is all completed. That's all the more we're going to do with this bike. We're just going to let the penetrating oil do what it needs to do. Let the battery charger do what it needs to do. I'm going to get cleaned up here and go get into the Internet of Things. And 2 sections of that video. You're watching this live. You might see the video uploaded tonight. If I, feel froggish enough to take the time to edit it and do it today. But if you watch that video, you're going to be like, hey, I watched him do that live. That's the whole idea behind her, man. Whole idea behind her. Good enough. All right. Hands are clean. You're going to bag up the GoPro stuff. And we do not need the heat to be up to 60 degrees in here. I normally, is because I got running water in here, I don't want to just shut the heat off, but I turn it down to its lowest setting. That way my pipes won't freeze. So I'll leave it chill at like 45 degrees. Because honestly, my bike sat in the garage with no heat winter after winter. If you prepare them properly, that's not a big deal. But it's the name of that tune. We turn it down to keep the gas prices down. Gas bill down, I should say. You know what? I'm using this stupid stinking bag to carry my stuff back and forth to the house, and I have a proper case. But it was down here. Well, it doesn't do me any damn good, does it? Yeah, if you're going to mess with a GoPro 10, honestly, it'll do everything you need to do. They chew up the batteries a little bit more. And your GoPro 11s, 12s, they can use a wireless mic like this. That with a media mod does everything I needed to do, and it's not that expensive, and it does shoot excellent 4K. These are cheap. So I have right now at 4K on a hot day, I can film for like 12 hours just on this. That's more than enough to do what I got to do. But me being lazy, and honestly, this little guy here, if you want to get into YouTubing, you can get these little Hero Blacks cheap. Like this, this came with a case, some mounting hardware, and it doesn't come with extra batteries. I think it was just a case and some mounting hardware. Oh, and a chip disc or whatever. It's like $150 on sale. Like this will get you in a door, and honestly, this is going to do this cheapest one. This Hero is going to do way better than like your Akaso or your cheaper action cameras out there. So like, let's say you want to go buy a Brave 7. Cool. I had Akaso cameras, some of my old videos. You can watch stuff that I filmed with them in 4K with, I think, a Brave 7 or a Brave 4. I don't remember. They're not as good as the cheapest GoPro. I'm sorry, they're not. If you want to get into making videos, dude, this is the ticket. And if you can swing it, like Black Friday deals will be coming out. You're around $250. You can get the camera. The media mod is between 60 and 70. You do this will be perfectly and completely adequate for a moto vlog. I have it mounted to my helmet over here on a full face helmet. The microphone is right in front of my face. The vents on the helmet, you can hear me pretty clear. And I run a windshield on my bike. And even with this, you don't catch much wind noise. Like if you want to get into moto vlogging, dude, you know, between this and the extra batteries, I got like 400 into the setup, and it's professional quality. It's better quality than I am personally capable of making, because I'm not really that fucking tech savvy. Let's be honest. I'm just not. All right. I gotta disconnect the microphone. So we're gonna wrap up here. Dude, for sure. I want to check out the Insta360. I really do. My reason for going with that, I can zoom in and I can mount that stationary, and I can zoom right in. Like I can, like say I'm working on this bench here. I can set it up on a stand and zoom in, and you can see me rebuilding a carburetor much better than an Insta. So it kind of, I get two uses for my money with the GoPro. That's why I went with the GoPro. You may see some Insta stuff coming from this channel in the spring. I don't know. As of now, folks tend to skip over my moto vlog videos, which sucks because I absolutely love to make them. They're a lot of fun. They don't get a lot of views. So the fact that they don't get a lot of views tells me I probably shouldn't invest the money into an Insta. But anyways, I will catch you later. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, treat that like and subscribe button like it owes you money and smash it for me. I'm out.